Yeah, I'm gone for 2 weeks. We missed one episode, and last week's episode, I have a lot of stuff to talk about on that. Plus, we'll talk about the match this past weekend against FC Tulsa, upcoming match here for Orange County. Hey, let's get into this. Let's have some fun. Welcome to the Show of Champions. This is the Orange and Black Soccercast. How's it going, Orange County? Welcome to another episode of the Orange and Black Soccercast, the first and only show dedicated to Orange County Soccer Club, its fans, and supporters. I'm your host, Ray Zamora. I'm back, and I'm here to take you through this journey as we discuss all things Orange County Soccer Club. And helping me out in this episode first, let's bring in the person that replaced me last week and did a good job, although I will tell you one thing I'm a little disappointed on, but that's Mr. Brad. Brad, how we doing?
Oh, no, please go ahead. Bash me. Kick me while I help cover for you.
No, I don't know if this goes to you or maybe both you and producer Andy, but how do we not have a disclosure to tell kids not to try this at home when Larry comes on the show wearing a plastic shopping bag over his head? That's something where obviously we got to tell the kids that are watching this show, do not do that. Do not try that. We should just put a disclosure. Don't try anything we talk about or do on this show, right?
I think it's I think you're definitely going and making a stretch saying kids watch this show. But because I find nothing educational about my analysis of games.
But you never know. You never know. And we got to play it safe. But no, y'all did a great job. I'm just also disappointed y'all did mid-season grades without me. Also, wait, are you okay?
Mid-season grades?
Oh, I thought you guys did some sort of like midterm grades or something. I heard someone.
We're just checking in on how we felt. Did you even watch last week's episode? You know, I'm just gonna go ahead and take over. Introducing our other guest from this week, Mr. DK Jinx. DK, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing well. A little bit better than last week, but you know, not a crazy amount based off the results. But performances looked a little bit better.
Look at that. Brad takes over for one episode and he gets the power. He wants to control it.
Yeah,
now.
right. Cut out the Ray rants.
I think DK and I are going to be sort of on the same page on our view of this last week's match, but we'll figure it out. We got one more person helping us out. First time on the show, a fan of Orange County. You'll see him at the stadiums. If you follow social medias, he's all over social medias wearing kits, showing pictures. That's Mr. Eric Allison. Eric, welcome to the show.
How's it going, boys?
It's going great for me. I'm actually excited to be back on the show. I was out for a couple weeks on a family vacation and then also taking care of some family stuff last week, but it's glad to be back here with you all. Before we get into the discussions of the soccer matches and what Orange County did this week, Eric, share with us, how did you become an Orange County Soccer Club fan, supporter? I'm assuming owner. Who knows what else you might be part of that collection?
All the above. But the way I got into it, to be honest, was a beer fest. I saw a beer fest post, and me and the girlfriend were like, let's go to a beer fest. We went to a beer fest, both enjoy soccer, the environment, the people. I knew it's going to last for a long time. I love going to the games. One of the happiest places on earth, not Disneyland. But, you know, that's how I got into it.
Awesome. I beer gets a lot of people excited about a lot of stuff. And I think that's one of the smart things over the past 3 or 4 seasons is Orange County doing Beer Fest at Championship Soccer Stadium, including a ticket to the game as part of that, because I've seen a lot of Beer Fest participants make their way over to the stands in the second half. And if they follow in your footsteps, Eric, they become fans, which I know we've seen plenty of those fans that have been created from Beer Fest nights, or at least get started. So thank you for sharing that story. Let's get into it. And I'm going to start off with this. Yes, a 0-0 draw in Tulsa against FC Tulsa. Probably not a result we are excited about, but this team looked 100,000 times better than they did the previous weekend. I was looking at some of the numbers against North Carolina. 5 shots, 0 on target. Against Tulsa, I think 16, 17, 18 shots with like 5 or 6 of them on target or something like that. I don't have them in front of me right now. I was looking at them earlier today. If not for just some unlucky or some good goalkeeping, Orange County probably could have gotten something out of this. And I know Brad, yourself, Larry, and I believe DK, y'all were sort of discussing this is probably not going to be a high scoring match, but there were a lot of shots and there were a decent amount of shots on target. Just none of the balls went in the back of the nets, but you can't say neither of these teams were trying to score a goal. Brad, your thoughts on this match this past weekend against Tulsa?
Yeah, definitely an improvement over the last couple of weeks. It's very refreshing seeing us go from what we had, like 0 shots on target against North Carolina, and then all of a sudden we're having, I believe you said it was 6 on this game. So definitely refreshing seeing a lot more opportunities. Some of those shots were a little weak. I wish we would have challenged the keeper a little bit more, but definitely a lot more edge from this Orange County team. And, eventually one's got to find the back of the net. But most importantly, we didn't really give up many good looking opportunities to Tulsa. So controlling the pitch a lot more possession that wasn't just, backline passing back and forth. I mean, you can't complain about a draw on the road. I wish we just would have scored some goals. It's been quite a while since we've said that.
Yeah, some not so great free kicks from Marcus Knockham just outside the box. He's typically a little bit more I guess consistent or steady with those types of takes, and both of them really didn't put pressure on the goalie at all. Apparently this goalie was like coming off of like player of the month or something like that. So obviously, that's going to be a tough thing. We saw earlier in the highlights, Ben Norris, his off foot. I mean, he tried, but when it's your weak foot as a 17-year-old, you're not going to probably do that well. But he got a shot on target. DK, you're the smartest one here. I don't know. Maybe Eric is also part of that smart team.
No.
But you're the smart one here when it comes to tactics, analysis, and all that. What did your eyes and your brain see in this match?
I don't necessarily know if I am the smart one or not, but I do write the most about, the games that we do play. So I guess I'll take that for now. Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. I mean, I think the whole theme behind the discussion of this game is going to just be improvement. Not that there was any way to go but up after that North Carolina game. However, I just saw a team performance in this match, which really excited me. There was chemistry between the passing. The midfield was just really, really strong in getting it into that final third. I mean, we saw on the I think one of my favorite just moments of the night, even though it didn't result in anything, was Dogman just taking the ball completely up the left side by himself. Unfortunately, there was nobody there to help him, but I loved seeing Dogman back and healthy and making moves like that. So that was really exciting. But yeah, I mean, I was really impressed with the defense and the midfield. And I mean, there was some fantastic switching from Owen Lamb and Kyle Scott, which I really love to see, that got like Dunbar into some fantastic, positions. I think Dunbar had a really good shot, but yeah, I mean, as we're seeing right now, like the keeper kept Tulsa in this game. And it's hard to break down those moments, especially when we are just kind of so weak offensively. Unfortunately, I think that's still something we can talk about, and that's still going to be our biggest, weakness as a team right now, is just the offense. I mean, I think we're on like 3 or 4 games without scoring a goal, which would put us at like 5 games without any of our offensive players scoring a goal. So got to hope that they do something to change that coming soon.
Well, yeah, we saw that sequence a little bit earlier on the highlights. If you're watching the video version of this, where Ethan Subak got a nice header on the ball. I think if he's in form, that is going in the back of the net. Unfortunately, he's still struggling at this point. He's not seeing goals going to the back of the net, so he struggles a little bit. And then we saw moments later, Marcus Knockham with a good head. I believe it was Marcus, or was it him with a header on the?
Yeah, it was Marcus.
A great save. There's like 2-3 opportunities there. I mean, we saw earlier a shot from Cameron Dunbar that had some power behind it. A good save, a save you expect a quality goalkeeper to make, but still a not an easy save when there's that much pace in the ball.
So before I forget, shout out to Kyle Scott after that crazy sequence, because Tulsa almost had a perfect counterattack moment after that crazy jumble in the box where they would have been 2-on-1 with Shuttler if Kyle Scott didn't run his ass back and stop that ball from getting picked up. So just a little shout out to Kyle Scott for stopping a pretty much guaranteed goal.
Oh yeah, put his body on the line. Really, basically, didn't care. It was on that like part of the pitch where they put over the baseball infield to play over the dirt. So that grass is half dead already. Anyways, it's probably not the greatest feeling. You see him come up, rubbing his thigh a little bit. He, probably doesn't feel good to slide on that. Eric, what are your thoughts, man? Were you pleased with what you saw out of Orange County this match, or was there anything that disappointed you?
I've never been so excited for a 0-0 draw. The play through the midfield was great. Keeping the ball on the ground, I think we've been a little over the top way too much with nobody running under it. So playing through the mid was really nice. Gave us a lot of good chances. Cameron looked good. Ethan looked good. Just couldn't finish at the end, but I think they looked good. And I would say discipline was another thing. Only one yellow card. That's probably been a rarity lately. Kyle Scott's usually good for at least one. But one yellow card was pretty nice.
Well, and that one yellow card was a tactical yellow card. He was doing it so
Correct.
that way the defense could get set up. So you can't fault in that position. Now, that was something that Ben Norris did earlier in the season and then went in for a rough tackle, got a red card out of it. Good for him to not put himself in that position again where he did something on a yellow card, and good for Coach Hardiman for pulling him out probably sooner than he would have preferred. Maybe, who knows? Maybe that was in the game plan. Brad, how nice was it to see Colin Shuttler back between the sticks?
I mean, last week we were seeing in the praises of, our replacement keeper, Gomez. See, I've already forgotten names, and that's how bad I am at this. No, last week we were seeing the praises of our backup keeper, and it's Colin Shuttler comes back in, and we have nothing but good things to say. He makes a couple big saves. The defense definitely steps up around him. I mean, it's almost like he never left, which is good because we needed him to keep a draw this game.
And we can confirm Gomez was correct when you said Gomez, so don't worry about that, Brad. You knew enough on there. TK, what did you see in this match maybe that still worries you from what we're seeing out of Orange County this year? Anything?
Yeah, I mean, I hinted at it before. It's the offense, obviously. I mean, it's the big gaping hole in our play this whole season. And, we're getting to a point in the season where we really, really need somebody to step up and start getting like a goal a game or something. Whether that's one person, whether it's a few people, but we can't, have these stretches of multiple matches where we don't score anything. That's, we're too close to the bottom of the table with people right on our heels, that if we can't start scoring goals, we can't win games. I mean, it's as simple as that. Not that that's, a huge tactical, analysis, but the offense is really weak right now and has been for a while. So whether that's we need a Mong back or we need a new striker signing or something, and I think the transfer windows are closing down, so I don't know if that is even going to happen, but we need something to change. And I think that this match coming up, and I know that we'll talk about later, I think is the perfect opportunity to give us some confidence. But knock on wood, I guess.
You brought up the transfer window, but I don't think that really impacts Orange County much because most of their signings are typically on the free signings. So they're typically not regulated by the window.
I think there's a roster freeze.
You're not buying someone. I've wondered that in the past though, because Orange County has signed people really late into seasons that still get to play in playoffs and stuff like that. That'd be interesting to look up. The other thing that would be interesting to look up statistically, and this might be something we can look up for next week, is I wonder how Orange County would look on the table if it was the old school 2 points for a win, 1 point for a draw. point system, and would that look different? I don't know how many draws we have on the season, but I feel
We
like
don't
we have a
very
few.
many.
We don't have many. Okay, so then that
we
wouldn't
have
help us.
in comparison. Yeah, it wouldn't help us very much this
So
season.
we either win or lose.
Yeah.
Eric, anything that's exciting you about this team, or what's exciting you the most about this team heading into the final sort of third of this season? Are you getting excited?
I would say the promise of the last game. I know 0-0 draw, tough to take, but a lot of progress, I think, moving forward. And then we've done this before. We've been here before. We've done this before. Hopefully a couple more people come back from injuries. Among, like DK said, that's going to be huge, I think, up front, because we're just not getting any offensive production. He took my jersey and he took my idea with that one.
Let me ask you, are you still confident if Among stays out a little bit longer and we have basically Zubac, Cameron Dunbar, sort of as your hopeful main goal scorers up top, are you confident in that?
If we can continue to give them the opportunities we saw in the last game, I think they're going to start putting them in the net. I think they're going to be there. They're going to get a lot more chances. It's going to be, I think they'll start putting them in the back of the net.
Brad, do you agree on that? Or are you worried at all about the roster as it is built with the attacking side? If we're left with what we have and no one really comes back strong from injury, are you confident with what we have?
I mean, with what we currently have on the roster, I don't know if I'm confident for more than a goal. And even one goal might feel a little bit like a fluke. I'm definitely confident in the defense, especially against a team like our upcoming opponent. But, unless someone can find the laces and put something in the back of the net, that final third's just our Achilles heel year after year.
All right, so two of you have brought up our next, let's talk about our next opponent, right? Because you started sort of mentioning that. And I think one of the last times I was on the show, we were talking about, hey, we're now coming up against an opponent that we are actually doing better than. You can't really say that here because El Paso, I think, at least in the last 3 matches, they've won, lost, and draw. I think we're 2 losses and a draw in the last 3 matches. But position in the table-wise, you look at this, if you don't know anything about these teams, if you're just a casual fan looking at the standings, you'd be like, okay, Orange County should be able to easily win this match against an El Paso team sitting bottom of the table. Is that the way you feel going into this match, DK?
I think at this point in the season, especially just with like losses against North Carolina, I'm not going really into any match of saying like, hey, we can, like, it's a guaranteed win, right? I think we are at a point where we have to just battle our hearts out every single time that they're on the pitch. And I think that this is a perfect game to really kind of flex the talent that Orange County has. I think it's an opportunity to face a team that might be below the table and, especially get some goals. Luckily, even though El Paso is doing a little bit better than they did at the beginning of the season, especially with like some coaching changes and, a lot of new player signings in the past couple of weeks, they still haven't been able to really net a lot of goals. So it could be, a similar situation to Tulsa where it's just more of a defensive stalemate. But I think if our offense is going to step up, that this is the match that they need to do it. And although the Tulsa match has made me hopeful that this team can come back and, they've found their chemistry again, it seems a little bit more like a foolish hope since we've just been so inconsistent this whole season where like one game I'm like, yes, we're back. We're going to, go out and we're going to do a lot. And then the next game, it just plummets again. And it's really just been a roller coaster ride of watching the, results for this team. So I hope this one's a peak. And then hopefully we can keep it, but I'm unsure.
Eric, your thoughts, hosting El Paso, right? Or is it on the road? It's hosting.
No, we're hosting. Yeah.
It's hosting El Paso. I'm just confused here at sometimes. Hosting El Paso, coming off what looked like a good performance other than the ball, just couldn't find the back of the net, partially because a great goalkeeping performance from the FC Tulsa goalkeeper. Yes, Tulsa's win recently is against Miami, which is the only team worse than them, and they're really horrible this year in Miami. But still, a win is a win, and it gives you some confidence, and it gives you a little bit of that thought that you can do it. And I'm sure they're watching Orange County struggling, and this is a match that El Paso thinks they can come in and still. What are your thoughts on this? How confident are you heading into this match? Would you accept anything but a 3-point outcome for Orange County?
I think 3 points is the only option in this one. I mean, looking at the standings, of course, you would assume that we got the good chance in this one. The other good thing I like is they're playing Sacramento midweek in Sacramento, so maybe get beat up a little bit before they get down to Orange County, and we get to take advantage of that. But I think 3 points is what everybody's looking for in this one.
So that is a bonus there. I'm wondering, I'm just going to assume here that El Paso is probably going to stay in California after that Sacramento match. I don't think there's a point to fly back to El Paso, Texas, which is not an easy airport to get direct flights in and out of, and then basically rest one night in your own bed and then fly back out to Southern California. Probably makes more sense for them to play Sacramento, take the bus down to Orange County, find a hotel to stay a few nights at, do some training at a lot of the Southern California has a lot of places teams can do some training while they're waiting for a match. But the hope with that then is, hey, maybe they are just sort of a little homesick at that point. They're not truly rested because they didn't sleep in their own bed. Hey, maybe we'll be able to find out where they are staying, and we can get some fans posted out outside of the hotel banging pots and pans all night long or something. Who knows? Brad,
set off a fire alarm.
There we go. Right. Let me ask you, Brad, if you found out where an opposing team is playing, would you be one of those people that would go and try and wreak havoc at that hotel the whole night before?
I was raised to be a good person who unmutes their microphone, talks clearly, and makes sure that they don't go into the opposing team hotels because they're a stalker and do things like that. I feel like producer Andy learned from last week, and we just added a little warning down below: do not try this at home. Do not condone torturing visiting teams. As for this upcoming match, I'm going to be the one who says a little bit of negativity. Last time we had a 0-0 draw on the road and came home to a home match. Do you guys remember what that game was?
No, but you have me worried that it was like when we lost like 3-0 or something.
You were so close. It was a 2-0 loss to Sacramento.
Oh, yeah.
After
this season, okay.
Yep, this season after a 0-0 draw on the road in San Antonio.
That was back in April. It was back when we had a different head coach. That needs to be thrown out the window.
We had healthier players. Like
my point is, every time we have an up game, minus like once this season, we've come straight back down to earth and had a down game. I haven't seen us, really do anything to really change my mind about that. Believe it or not, Sad Brad is the correct Brad for a lot of this season. And I'm happy to be the podcast heel. With that said, I will share a little bit of positivity. I think we played a lot better this week. I think our competition this upcoming week is going to be worse than North Carolina for all the troubles North Carolina has on the road. I think El Paso is just kind of imploded on itself this season. I feel bad for Eric Calvillo, who's still there. Also, I'll be there. So, they have to perform well because I'll be there, right? I think the last time I went to a game was that Monterey game last season.
It was, and that was when you introduced Malort to me, Brad, and it changed the whole.
Good memories. Good memories.
No!
Hold on, Ray. I'll allow this to go off the rails a little. Eric, have you had Malort?
Unfortunately, yes.
He has. Yeah, right, we've gotten him to take a shot. So
we got to ask this.
It's not great.
We got to ask this though, Eric. If you had someone that has never tasted before and you're trying to explain it to them, what does it taste like?
I can't do that to people, but I actually have. I had somebody try it and they actually liked it, which was surprising. But as it was explained to me, it was gasoline. That's how it was explained to me. I'll take it at that.
I'm looking at what producer Annie has put in the chat, sir. That's what he explained to me the first time I tried it. Oh no, not the first time. When my wife and our friend tried it the first time up in Vegas, and they tasted it, and their response was he was correct. That is what it tastes like.
We won
a
that
burnt
game, so.
flip flop. Yeah, that was a fun game because the poolside party was fun. I'm still hoping. I'm going to reach out to Orange County and be like, can you put some pools for my birthday? We'll get a big old party down there and we'll have some fun. Maybe Marcus can jump into the pool once he scores another goal. Yeah, we've officially gone off the rails here. Now I even forgot. Oh yeah, Brad was talking about he doesn't feel confident, but then he's saying we have to win because he's going to be there. It sounds like he wants to be the heel of this show. So let's dress him up. Hey, everyone, let's pitch in. We'll get a fund me for him to get some Doink the Clown makeup, and he can dress up as Doink the Clown week in and week out on our show. DK, what is Orange County going to have to do, or what do you need to see from them in the first 20 minutes of the match this weekend to say, okay, this is going to be a good match for us?
Oh man, I mean,
score goals.
Well, I mean, an early goal would obviously be fantastic to see. But I mean, I think we got to continue to do what we did against Tulsa as far as our midfield and defense goes. There was, really some great cohesion between the players in a way that I hadn't really seen in probably like a month or two. Between the passes, we weren't really relying, as Eric pointed out, into long ball passing. There were a couple of them, and they were really great and precision passes, which was fantastic to see. However, it really just seemed like a team performance. And I think that there was highlights from every player on the pitch against Tulsa. Obviously the scoreline doesn't necessarily reflect that, but I was really impressed with the way the team worked together. And if we can continue to do that and really, come out strong, especially that, if you're saying in the first 20 minutes, just keep El Paso from getting into that final third as much as possible with our midfield. And luckily, we have a defensive mid back where he belongs with DIllon Powers, who has been pretty crucial in that for the past couple weeks since he's been healthy. So, having him on the pitch, I think is really fantastic in stopping the opposing team from getting into the box. And I really hope that they can continue doing so on Saturday.
Eric, who do you want to see scoring that first goal this weekend and giving you hope that Orange County is going to have a great performance?
I want to see Ethan Zubak off a header. Corner kick header. That's what I want to see.
Far too few Ethan Zubak headers. I feel like he needs to have a few more of those. He's a tall player. He's shown some power in those headers. Just can't quite always get it on target. I believe the one this past week was off the crossbar. And maybe it did sneak in, but because there's no VAR or goal line technology, we don't know. Who knows? But that would be a good one. What in the first 20 minutes of the match, Eric, you're watching it. What are you seeing from Orange County that's going to have you freaking out, biting your nails, already sort of chiming the bells that it's going to be a loss?
A loss? I don't see a loss coming this week, but if I'm watching the first 20 minutes, I'm looking for possession, good passing through the mid. Jenks said a lot of it, but yeah, I'm looking at obviously an early goal would be nice. Aside from Ethan, I would love to see Cameron Dunbar dice somebody up on the wing and put one in the back of the net as well. But the first 20 minutes, possession, good passing, good defense, no chances from El Paso. That'll kind of ease the ship. Good going for the rest of the game. I'm not thinking about a loss, so I really can't comment on anything losing.
Yeah, luckily, the defense has been one of the least things to worry about for Orange County fans. El Paso, not a powerhouse. Hopefully a great performance from the team there. One of those key parts of the defense that was missing early on, but has returned, playing in his more natural defensive midfielder role for this team, is Mr. DIllon Powers. First, DIllon, welcome.
Thanks, guys. How we doing?
Hey. We're a lot of us are excited after what happened. I know a 0-0 draw is not the most exciting result, but there were a lot of things we saw out of you and the team out there. If not for such a great performance from the Tulsa goalkeeper, we probably walk away with 3 points, which is the only disappointing part of that. Let me ask you this question really quick before we get into the serious questions, because we were just talking about it briefly. Have you ever heard of a drink called Malort?
No. I haven't.
Okay. So if anyone offers you Malort, stay away from it. That's all I will say. You could Google it and find out people's descriptions of it. It's the worst stuff ever. So don't ever try it.
When we win the championship, Dylan, this season, it's going to end up there. I am going to bring you a bottle of Malort, and you're going to take a shot with us, and it'll be fantastic.
Okay. Is it a homemade situation or?
No, it's not a homemade drink. It's something you can buy at a store.
It's like a Chicago. It's a Chicago.
It's a
Chicago
liquor.
Okay.
The best answer I can give is what producer Andy said was it tastes like burnt flip-flop. So that's what I can explain to you right there. Let me ask you this, Dylan. How difficult has this season been for you, not being able to be out there at the beginning of the season, struggling or recovering from an injury? What is it for a player like you? What does that do to you? How I guess disappointing or how frustrating is it to not be able to get out on the pitch to start the season after coming off such a great season last year?
Yeah, honestly, it was really tough. Partially because last year was such an enjoyable season and we had such a good, run, and to kind of just be sidelined after that, it was really difficult to feel like, you're not involved, but also just want to contribute to the team. And I'm just super thankful at this point that I'm feeling pretty stable and back on the pitch. It took longer than anyone would have liked, but that's sometimes just part of the game. So it was very difficult, but I'm really happy to be feeling like I can say I feel each game I'm getting stronger.
Now, obviously last year you had to get thrown into that defensive midfield or defensive center back position due to a lack of options on this team. It seems like this year there's plenty of options to throw in there. So now we're seeing you at what is probably more your natural position and more of the defensive midfielder role. How difficult or how's that transition been from last season playing mostly center back to now playing defensive mid again? Was there any rust going back to that more natural position, or was it like riding a bike? You just jumped right in there and it felt natural to you?
There's parts of it that are riding a bike, but definitely it's like a muscle, and I feel like you lose form, you gain form back, and like transitioning to center back last year was a whole new experience, and there was definitely a big learning curve that I was able to scale. And then now going back into the midfield, it's been definitely a situation of, each game kind of remembering, okay, these are some of my habits, and really getting back into not necessarily discovering new things, but just like really getting back to my habits.
And, you're getting back to it. You've now been in action consistently. How far into it are you? Is this 80% Dylan? Is this 90% Dylan? Is this 110% Dylan? Where are we at right now, Dylan?
Well, it's hard to put a number on it. Last game I played 90 minutes for the first time since we lost to Phoenix last year. So I can't say that I'm peaking just yet, which I think is a good thing. But I do feel like I felt for the first time, I felt like a little bit like myself last game. And I want to continue to build off that. So percentage wise, I'll let you kind of figure out the numbers, but I'm getting closer, and each game I'm going to continue to push, because at the end of the day, there's only 10, 11 games left. So yeah.
And so Dylan, since Ray was kind of just talking about a lot of the injury stuff, being injured and trying to get healthy again, and then now that you are and staying healthy and, keeping that momentum going, what are just some of like the recovery choices and tips that you can give in regards of staying, at the best capacity for being on the pitch?
Yeah. So many different things you can do. I think cycling after training is really helpful for me you build up a lot of lactic acid when you work out, and that really just helps me with soreness. I'm a big fan of water therapy. So hopping in the pool, the ocean, contrast bath. So hot and cold, or just cold. I love getting in a cold bath. We do have access to a recovery facility that has sauna, ice bath, and hyperbaric chamber. Shout out to Daniel Guzman, who's opened his doors at Hype to the team. Hype Wellness down in San Juan Capistrano. So as much as you can, really, I think recovery is a huge part of the game that people don't realize. It's like throughout the week you do train hard, but like a lot of it is just like prioritizing your recovery to be optimized for the next game.
Yeah, totally. I mean, and those are some really fantastic tips and just kind of insights as well. And just speaking of, staying healthy and goals for you, what are, especially since we only have about 10, 15 games left in the season, what are some just kind of personal goals for you on the pitch for the remainder of 2024?
Well, initially it was just to get healthy, to get back to like to playing, and now I'm feeling a little bit more stable. So it's been like, let's build my minutes, let's build the endurance. And then now I'd like to add in a little bit more intensity and really get back to like the quality form of playing. So up till now, it's been very much physical. I've been on restricted minutes, so I don't like hurt myself coming back. But now that I'm feeling a little bit more stable, it's like, okay, like I really wanted to shift the gears towards like performance, high quality performance. So on a personal level, I'm trying to meet basically the performance demands I know I'm capable of. And then from a team perspective, I think that if you ask anybody on the team, I think we would all say we haven't hit the levels we know we're capable of. And there's many reasons for that. One of them just being a lot of inconsistency in our squad. We've had, a lot of injuries, and we've been navigating a coaching change and all that. So I think as a team, we're really, focused on getting back to a high performance level, but then, we want to make it into, we want to get a home playoff game. We want to continue to push on. And ultimately, I think the team believes that we will make the playoffs. We can finish high in the standings, and we want to battle for a championship. So these are the goals. I think right now we're really trying to focus on finding our identity again, because I think it's been kind of all over the place. In last year, I think we really found a good rhythm. And I thought last game was a good step towards that, even though, we didn't get the victory. I thought internally we felt like, okay, that felt a little bit more like us. And I think we can kind of use that and kick on from here.
Awesome. No, thanks for coming on again, Dylan. We've spent quite a lot of time. I'll ask one question about, prep and recovery from games. For me, earlier this season, we had on the new gaffer, and we asked him, what decisions go on into making decisions like having you come on or go off. I don't remember which one, but playing 45 minutes in Tampa Bay and doing halftime substitutes and kind of flexing minutes. How much of a say do you as the player get into that versus the coaching staff? And are you satisfied with, kind of the rotation and being brought back in and with a little bit of limited minutes?
That's a good question, because it's always like a source of tension, because the player, it's like, we obviously want to come back and we want to play 90 minutes like right away. Right. But I think particularly we're protected by the strength and conditioning team. Tom Job, he's really kind of leading the charge there in terms of, he has the data that's in, our backs, how far we're running, how much, and he's periodized that. And for me, like, I was out for so long, I needed more of an extended intro back into the field and a slower build up. Whereas somebody who maybe like had a quick muscle injury and was out for a week might be able to come back and maybe might be on restricted minutes, but it might be more like half the game or 60 minutes or something. But I essentially like needed a whole preseason again. So those things are kind of, there's one side, which is like the sports science, who are trying to be the safe ones. And we have the coaches and the players on the other side being like, we need to win now. We need to, do everything we can to get on the field. So there's this healthy tension that exists, and that's like universal in soccer. And as a player, it's like you sometimes find yourself in the middle of that, which can be challenging. But you want it to just like, play as much as you can, but it's kind of just, it's hard to accept the fact that you have to be limited. But I think it is, at the end of the day, like, it's the smart thing to do. If you come back too fast and you get hurt, then it's all for naught. And it's, the best ability is availability. So if you're not available to play, you're not going to help the team at all. So you got to be careful with it.
Yeah, one of the things that we've also harked upon on the last couple of weeks is kind of everything seems to be going right except for getting the ball in the back of the net. What's something the team has been trying to implement at practices and in the game plan to hopefully, alleviate that, because I know we are all very satisfied with, the midfield and the defensive end. That's been our strength the last couple of years as you've been on the team, since 21. What are some things that you guys are working on in practice to get that goal?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think sometimes you have to kind of look at both ends of it. I think it's very easy to follow, like to think that, we need to be scoring goals, we should just focus everything on finishing this week. And whereas a lot of goal scoring opportunities come from where you pick up the ball from the other team. If you can turn them over in their own half, then you're actually that's when they're most exposed, because they're most open, because they're trying to build out of the back. So if you can actually turn them over, you have a really good chance to score. So this past week, we actually we did focus quite a bit on our pressing, which I thought was much, much better. And we actually picked them off in some really dangerous areas that actually led to some transitions that probably should be put in away. So that's part of it. I think sometimes the defending side can lead to attacking chances. The other piece of it is, we are working on, really, what does it look like in that final third, especially from crossing positions, where do the runs need to be, really identifying the roles and responsibilities in those positions. And I don't think we've gotten that quite right. And I also think sometimes goal scoring is contagious, and it does take a bit of belief that I think maybe the squad as a whole has lacked, that, it shows up in small ways, whether it's you took the shot too quick, or, it just didn't come off right. So it's like a mix of composure, belief, and then understanding, the roles and responsibility and working together to create goals. It's a long-winded answer, but that's kind of how I see it. And I think this week we'll continue to solidify, hopefully, our press so that we can turn them over, and but then also like really shift the eye towards, okay, we know we're creating some chances now. Now we got to put the ball in the back of the net.
All right, I got one more, hopefully quick one from me. So if you're familiar with the meme of like the graph going up and down saying, we're back, it's so over, we're so back, that's kind of how this season's felt. And yet we're still in 7th place on the table, kind of flip-flopping back and forth between like, oh my gosh, this team's going to make playoffs and doing well, to, wow, we're going to finish dead last, and yet we're still playoff line. What's the mood in the locker room like? Because I'm sure you guys realize that you guys are still in the hunt. It's nowhere near over, but, some results have to happen.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, it kind of depends on the week. No, I'm just kidding. I feel like it's it can be really tough to not get into that cycle. Of we win a game, we're on top of the world. We lose a game, it's all going awry. And the challenge all year has been to try to like not get too high and too low, and kind of view them both as imposters, and really try to take the kind of disassociate from their actual result and say, what's the performance look like? And I think the sense in the locker room, there's been certainly a sense of frustration that we haven't really, that it's been so up and down, that we haven't really found our rhythm to go on and put a run together. But I think there's been some really constructive stuff in the last few weeks. And as I mentioned at the beginning, I felt like last game was the first time that we really got that sense of who, like, I felt some of what we had last year in terms of this determination to go in and get a result. And I think the home game prior against North Carolina was a bit inciting for that, because it felt like such a poor performance, and really really disappointing. And so we all, I think, had a look in the mirror, and I think so. It kind of inspired us to really be like, okay, what are we about this season? You know, like, are we just going to let this slip away? Is this who we are? And I think the last performance showed that we do have good character in the team, and that we're going to figure it out. So I'm really excited to build off that. It's sometimes it's such a fragile thing at times, but I think it's at a point where the team is feeling a little bit of sense of something, and now, we're going to be tested this weekend, and it's a great opportunity for us to go on and take it to the next level and really start our run. Because this eventually you run out of games, right? So I think there is a sense of urgency at this point.
How's it going, Dylan? Great performance last week. Look good. Just got a couple simple questions. Going to keep it away from soccer.
Right.
On the road, what's the go-to meal? You get the local cuisine, or you just a simple Chipotle guy, or something like that?
Are you talking about like if I have a choice, or if the team's feeding us?
If you have a choice.
Ooh, I like to. I do like to kind of experience the local cuisine if I can. More so, like I find myself at the local coffee shops just to see, what the vibe is. Maybe get a fun drink, before the game or something, just to kind of caffeinate up. So that's probably where you'll find me on the road. Is I'll sniff out the local coffee shop and get a good brew.
And I'll make the last one quick. What flavored tea you drinking right now?
It's Tulsi. You're familiar with that flavor? Yeah.
That's all for me, man. Hey, good luck next week.
Great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Really quick, Dylan, we had a couple of fans throw in some questions. So I'm just going to run through some of these really quick. One of them, this is from Kick a Ball Pod. Favorite Austin Powers movie?
Ooh, probably Goldmember.
Goldmember. All right. I can't. Yeah, I'm great for answering that, because I wouldn't even be able to go back and think about what the different Austin Powers movies were. It's so long ago.
Yeah. They're hilarious.
What else did I see? Oh yeah. What fires you up to continue to play this beautiful game?
That's a great question. I think at this point it's I feel like I've put in so much work over the course of my career, from when I was a kid till now, that I think it's about reaping the rewards of that and enjoying it too. Like, it can be a grind at times. And I think I want to make sure that all the work I've put in up till this point is just really enjoyed and not for, I don't want to do all this work to not get anything out of it. So I really want to win another championship. And I think we have the right guys in the locker room to do it. So that's kind of what's motivating me right now.
When you talk about the right guys, that we've been talking about this season is, y'all have been struggling with injuries and you're sitting 7th, 6th, 8th of the table, but you sneak your way in there and you get healthy and y'all get on a right little run there. I mean, you got a really scary roster there with Orange County. So hopefully that happens.
Yeah.
And
I hope so too.
And then one last thing I wanted to ask you sort of ties in with that question. Obviously you're getting towards the later end of your career. What would be the next step for Dylan in your career? Would you continue in the soccer world, or would you look to step away from soccer and maybe try your hand at something else?
That's something I think about quite a bit. And I've done, I don't think I have a clear answer on that. I think I would be happy doing both. I have a very curious mind. So I think stepping out of the game would be great, especially since I was essentially indoctrinated in it, as my dad played professional soccer as well. So it's been kind of my entire existence. So I think stepping out of it would be really exciting. But then again, as a player, like you've spent, this has been my career. This is where most of my value is. So I've done some of my coaching licenses, and I'll continue to do those because I think it's helpful even as a player to understand, because when you do these licenses, you kind of get you have to do some coaching, and you start to realize that a player, you're just one person. The coach has to manage the whole team. I think it gives you actually more empathy and compassion for the coach, and helps you kind of tactically too. So that's something I'm interested in as well.
Which license are you at?
I've done my C and D, and I've done half of my A license up to this point.
I think we have producer Andy has a quick comment.
I just want to point out, Dylan's only 33. He is still a very spry young chicken.
Hey, you guys trying to retire me?
I'm not trying to retire.
No, I'm sure you have a lot more to give. I just don't raise the one saying that you're old. I'm saying you are a staunch young man.
Thank you. Age is just a number.
Age is just I'm just saying, like, where Dylan is in his career, it's the time where players start looking at what's the next step. I'm not saying it's going to happen right now, like after this episode is done, but obviously there's a lot of people like to plan 5-10 years down the road. Where do I want to be? And that's all I'm asking, Dylan. That's all I'm asking you.
Yeah.
And
you heard me?
You know what? No, we need to ask another fun question because Ray has brought the mood
I guess
down.
I butchered the fun questions. Go, Brad. Ask a fun question.
So we've seen some comments about you being a man of zen, a man of just pure calm during this entire interview. What's it gonna take to get that yogi master man bun from 2017 back into the picture here?
I've been getting a lot of requests for that actually recently. Well, first of all, it's going to take another year, so I see it's pretty short right now. So I think about it. I think about it sometimes. We'll see. It's a lot to manage. That's all I'll say.
All right. I think we've taken up a lot more time than I think we were anticipating with you, Dylan. We appreciate you hanging out and talking with us. Do you have any last message for the fans that are going to be out there this weekend at Championship Soccer Stadium? What do you need from them?
Well, first and foremost, I think the players are really excited to, get back on the field after our last performance, which we thought was way off our standard, and it's kind of unacceptable, I think, for being at the champ. And for the fans, I think as much energy as you can give us, it's felt. And it's just a reminder. I know you've probably heard that a million times, but it's genuinely felt. And it's so fun when we're kind of in it together. I feel like sometimes you can find that next gear, especially in the second half, and there's this kind of like a bond that happens between the fans and the players, and it's unseen for sure, but you can feel it, and I'm sure it goes both ways on that. So that's my message to the fans.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dylan. There's the image right there. The amazing thing, that's the image that's on Wikipedia. So anyone can't see it properly or are listening to just audio, just go to the Wikipedia page for DIllon Powers and you can see what we're talking about there. Dylan, thank you for taking some time to speak with us. Best of luck to you and the boys this coming weekend against El Paso. And, just like you were saying, we're looking forward to another championship here in Orange County. Make that happen.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Right.
Stuff.
You too, Dylan.
All right, everyone. There it is. Your defensive midfielder for Orange County Soccer Club with dreams and ambitions of one more championship, which is hopefully going to be the end of this season. That would be a beautiful thing to see. And we're not saying he won more and he's done. We're just saying he wants another championship. And we all hope the same thing. We want another championship. We want another star on top of that crest. All right. Well, I think we did a good job this episode, fellas, listeners.
We're not done.
Oh, we're not. What's up? Go for it. Oh, Dylan. Dylan. Brad, take it over. I've been gone for 2 weeks and I forgot how this thing works. I'm sorry.
All right. So first, as we add the graphic, let's go ahead and get rid of Ray. Everyone wish Ray a happy evening for doing a good job getting us to this point. Not much movement has changed on the top end of the board. I think Kayvon's earned 1 point back on Taylor. Other than that, same top three as the prior last couple weeks. Nobody predicted a 0-0 game, but a lot of people predicted a 1-1 or 2-2. And then you had me who predicted a Ray prediction last week of 5-1. Originally it was going to be 5-0, but I'm not like Ray. I have to be a little different in my own right. And therefore I got 0 points. So, don't be like Ray or be like Ray. I don't know. Don't be like me.
Well, if you would have been like me, you would have gotten something out of it because you would have predicted Tulsa's score, right?
I know I did correct myself, and that's why my face has been covered up with the graphics. So, moving on beyond the last week's predictions, we need to get in one more set of predictions for this week. And because Ray's going to lather on too long about it, Ray, I'll let you go first. Just give me a quick score. Who's winning?
2-1 Orange County.
Awesome. See, I threw you on the spot. Eric, you're up next.
I'm going to go with 1-0 Orange County because we win 1-0 games.
All right, DK.
I'm going to say that Dylan, hearing him talk about the team and the plans for their future and the identity that they're building, it gave me a lot more hope, actually, for not just this game, but for the rest of the season. So I'm going to go ahead and say 3-0 Orange County. It's going to be a hyped match.
Yeah, I mean, normally after like some interviews, we feel like we have to run through a wall. This one, I felt like, I want to read the wall a nice story of a 2-0 Orange County victory this upcoming weekend with me in attendance. Ray, back to you.
Back to me. Let's end this. Let's wrap this thing up. What did we learn this episode? Brad, you get to go first.
I learned that I am not the only person who actually likes Malort. And, if you don't like Malort, you don't have developed taste buds. Eric, thank you for telling me that you have a friend who likes Malort.
Yeah.
I'm just going to melt up some flip-flops and serve it to you when you're down next weekend, Brad.
Hey, I love it too, Brad.
You said on the pregame you might not even be there. So, first you have to be there.
Eric, what did you learn this episode?
I learned that I got to get out to another tailgate so I can take a shot on Malort and get on board with everybody else.
And what about you, Mr. DK? What did you learn this episode?
I learned just some really cool tips from Dylan that I feel like we haven't heard from a lot of the players yet on recovery. Cycling is a really interesting one. And obviously water recovery, and then that shout out to the Hype Wellness Studio. So it's really great getting to hear some actual good tips and tools that the players can utilize.
Hey, what did I learn this episode? I learned that Brad wants to be the Doink the Clown of this podcast. He wants to be the heel. And look, he even has a Dink the Clown right there in his hands that he could dress up. So we could have Doink and Dink on the Orange and Black Soccercast. Might have to change it up slightly so you don't get in trouble for using a copyrighted character or something like that. I don't know how that works. Well, I want to thank all of our listeners that were listening live as we broadcast this show or not broadcast, put the show out on the interwebs for y'all to watch. I also want to thank my co-host for this episode, DK, Eric, Brad, our guest, DIllon Powers, producer Andy. Thank you for doing what you do. Hey, this is the Orange and Black Soccercast, and we are out.